Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's me, Chef James, and we are watching Happy Bellyfish Best Indian Curry Masterclass. One base for 100 recipes, curry paste. Now, this is not my first time watching this, so this will not be a genuine reaction style video. This is my second time watching it. I just watched it. I spent about just over half hour watching this 12-minute video. I did not have my screen recorder on, so I have to redo this. I'm not exactly happy right now because I just wasted a half an hour. But such is life. If you're new here, you can click my subscribe button, hit the like button at the end after you've watched this video if you liked it. Genuinely, during this video, I did end up hitting subscribe, and I hit the like button at the end because I enjoyed both his presentation style. He has a soothing voice. The food was well done, so I did hit that subscribe button. I was moved to do that while watching, just like I hope you're moved to hit my subscribe button. And if you're new here, one of the things I like to do, we don't just watch, we cook too. So at the end of the month, I'll post a poll with the videos that I watched in the previous month. You'll get a week to vote on them, and then I'll cook the winner. With that said, let's jump into this.
Going to make is the simplest of any curry paste from northern part of India, and with this paste you can make curries for vegetables, beans and any other recipes that you have been following where curry is the base. Hello everyone, my name is Shrikant and welcome to our channel Happy Bellyfish. Today I'll be showing you how to make a simple curry paste. There are a ton of recipes which are based on different curries on our channel. We have made curries with lentils, we have made it with beans and some other vegetables, and people quite often ask me, can I freeze this, can I freeze that? And here's the problem with freezing that I have, that when you freeze something for too long and then you reheat it again, you lose a certain texture of it and it doesn't taste the same again, which is why...
Okay, now that's somewhere where I have to stop and agree with him. I'll give you an example when it comes to Italian salamis, Genoa salami, or even hams. Why we don't freeze those things. There's still moisture in them, and when you freeze them, especially ham, when you freeze that, the water will crystallize, and it will, as it crystallizes, it pulls from the muscle and it turns into a crystal. And then when it thaws, now it leaves a hole from where it had crystallized. So you get a very grainy texture in your meat that is very unpleasant. And when it thaws, it ends up sitting in a package of water because all that water that it pulled from places that it had, it basically consolidates it into those crystals. And when those crystals thaw, it doesn't go back to where it came from. It just drops out of the product. So if you've ever had really wet and grainy salamis, they were frozen.
The paste that we are going to make, this is something that you can freeze, you can reheat along with the other vegetables or any other thing that you want to add, let's say even meat, and it will taste great. It will not taste like somebody made it like in the previous ice age. But before you learn to make something, let's unlearn a couple of things. And to do that, you need to understand the common mistakes that people do when they're trying to make an Indian curry. First mistake that people do is that they chop the onion and the tomato in large chunks, so it never actually dissolves to become a homogeneous paste. The second mistake that people do is that they often add too much water and then it becomes like a soup. Or they add too much oil when they see that everything is sticking to the pan. The third mistake that they do is that they don't cook the curry base long enough, so there is a lot of rawness.
So those are all good tips. Like if you want stuff to become a homogeneous mixture, you want it to be smaller when you start cooking it because it's really hard to break down large items. Like if you make a pureed soup, right? You have your let's say cauliflower soup. You have your cauliflower in a pot. You chop it up small because you don't want to overcook that cauliflower. What'll happen is it will just start tasting bad. Like you've overcooked it, it will lose its freshness. It will get denser in its flavor in like a kind of yucky way. So you might cut it up small, and then when your soup's about ready, you puree it with like an immersion blender. And pureeing it while you're cutting it up as fine as possible at this point now. You can't get any finer than that. And that's going to allow for a homogeneous soup to emulsify and bind together. If you leave everything big, like with my cauliflower, for example, if you leave it big, you're going to spend forever with that immersion blender breaking it down, and the outside of it is going to be mushy. The inside of it is going to be maybe fork tender at best. And it's not going to emulsify right. So you want things to be in small uniform sections. Now I can cheat here by saying I know he doesn't cook this curry paste for long. So it makes sense that he wants things small because you don't want to overcook anything.
Pretty unpleasant. The fourth mistake is that they end up adding too much of this store-bought curry powder, and that happens because they think that the only thing that's going to flavor their food is this curry powder, which is completely wrong. And that is exactly what we're going to learn today: how to make your simple curry extremely flavorful and tasty. And who knows, by the end of this video, and if you're going to try making this at home, so you will be throwing away that curry powder that you never liked in the first place. But first, before we move further, please don't forget to like, share and subscribe so that we feel supported in bringing more such content so that you can cook better and live healthier. Now, to make this curry paste, you will need just 8 ingredients in total, and most of which you probably already know. So what are the ingredients that you will need? You will need 1 medium-sized onion, or roughly 100 grams of it, 2 medium-sized tomatoes, or 200 grams. Each will be roughly the same size of an onion, a teaspoon of ginger and garlic paste, and I'm going to show you how you can make it at home. To make it,
so he's got red onions there, and in a couple other videos it's been commented to me that people have said in India we cook exclusively with red onions. Sometimes red onions cost more than white onions. Sometimes they're harder to get. Sometimes the quality isn't as good. To you, what is more important? Sticking with the red onion because of the flavor the red onion has, or sticking with the highest quality onion you can get? Where do you, like I'm asking you, where do you draw the line here? Let me know down below in the comments when you will change from a red onion to a white onion, or if you will just, get red onions because they are, for this, I'm assuming, the superior onion.
Roughly equal proportions of ginger and garlic. You peel the skin of the garlic and the ginger and then blend it together with a little bit of water. This water that you're adding will help you grind it into a fine smooth paste. And if you want it only for one-time use, then just use your mortar and pestle and crush them very finely. And to get the color, flavor and aroma, you will need the...
So that's what I did when I did my last cooking video where I made Village Cooking Channel style biryani. They had garlic and curry paste, and I spent, like 10 minutes pounding the crap out of that stuff with my mortar and pestle, because in their video they use those big granite slabs with the rollers and they're just working that, and I wanted to be as close to that as I could be. Now if you guys select me to, if I put this in a poll and you want me to make this curry paste, I feel like I get to use my blender.
Spices in Indian cooking: turmeric, red chili powder, coriander powder and cumin powder. And now the other ingredient, which is the onion and tomato, you can either chop them really fine or you can even puree them. So if you are going to use a lot less oil than in most of the recipes that you will see, then it's better and more advisable to actually puree the onion. Otherwise, just...
That's 100% something I agree with, because if you puree it, like what he had almost looked like tomato juice or soup, and you wouldn't need to add oil to prevent that from sticking to your pan. But if you had diced tomatoes, they are going to stick without some kind of fat there as a layer of separation between that and the metal.
When blending, make sure you do not add a lot of water, otherwise you will end up with a slurry, and that's not really easy to cook. It will take forever and the flavor will not really come out. Fresh green chili is...
That's another good point, because if you're trying to make a paste and you add water in the puree process, you have to take all that water out when you make the paste. So water goes in, water has to come out to get to the paste.
Ingredient for those who would like to have their food extra hot. Alright, so I hope the ingredients so far, it wasn't really hard to prepare, right? Now preparing the curry paste, or actually making it with the spices, is even easier. You will just have to stand in front of the stove for some time. So you can bring some nice music and just follow the instructions. Place a pan or a wok or any utensil that you have which has a thick bottom. And that's important because if the pan is really thin, everything that you're going to put into it is going to burn very fast. Now keep it on medium heat and add any oil of your choice. But if you were to ask me what oils do I use, then the best oils to use here are ghee, sesame oil, mustard oil, or peanut oil.
I've seen that ghee is used in a lot of your Indian cooking. In European cooking, we similar clarified butter, and yeah, it's one of the best ones you can use because it has that high smoke point. Oh, and fun fact, I just learned recently that, because I never really heard of mustard oil before watching Indian food. It's illegal in the United States, but I believe I can get it here in Canada.
Then add the onion paste along with the ginger and garlic paste. You will hear the spluttering sound, and the smell of ginger and onion and garlic will actually start to overwhelm you. Mix and stir well, and if it is sticking to the pan, then either the heat is too high or it might need some more oil. This should take about 3 to 4 minutes on medium heat to cook. The raw smell of onion, garlic and ginger will fade away and it will brown a little bit. It really depends on the type of onion you're using. When we actually make curry, we go for the red onions, but if you don't have it, you just get white onions in your place, or if red onion is very expensive, which I've seen, then just use your white onion and cook it a little longer. So is your curry ready? Of course not. You need to add the spices. These are the spices that you will add in these proportions. 1 tablespoon of coriander powder, half a tablespoon of cumin powder. This ratio is very important. Coriander is more than cumin. Otherwise, your gravy will turn dark and also bitter. Half a teaspoon of turmeric powder and 1 teaspoon of red chili powder. You can increase the amount of red chili powder here if you want your food to be really hot. But if you...
Question. From your experience making stuff like this, how does it scale? Now, what I mean is, when he's finished, he's going to have like a single portion. But say I wanted to times 10 or times 20 this and freeze it. Like he suggests at the beginning that it's fine to do. Do I, like, some recipes, some spices, they don't scale out well. So if I just blindly multiplied everything by 20, would I be overpowered? Like, do the powders kind of taper off on the curve of the multiplication? Or do you just go straight up at this point?
Chili powder, just because you like your food hot, then the only thing that you're going to taste here is chili, and other flavors will kind of get lost. If you ask me which chili powder should you use, then my suggestion would be Kashmiri red chili powder, and you will find this in most of the Indian spice stores. And the nice thing about this chili powder is that it will give a nice rich red color to the gravy without making it too hot. But if paprika is all that you have in your kitchen, then you can absolutely use it, but make sure you understand this paprika, that it's not too hot, or if it's very sweet, or if it's just going to give you color, then the balance will be missing. So you need some amount of heat there. And let's say you have sweet paprika at home, then you can take a green chili, a fresh green chili, just slice it, take the seeds out and then add it. So you kind of get your heat that you want in your curry. That's it.
So one of the other things he talks about there is the fact that, you don't want to get your heat from the chili powder. Like if you like it hot and you add too much chili powder, all you're going to taste is chili powder. So I like how we're keeping this base more neutral. Like I want to call this a neutral curry paste just for the sake of easy discussion. And if you want to add more heat to it, you can always do that later with chilies, or when you go to make your final dish. I like having this as a neutral ingredient. That is like that's I am all tongue tied today. I like how he's doing that. And why he's letting us know this, and that's one of the things that I guess stands behind the title of this video, a masterclass.
That you will need. But let's say you bought this curry powder or garam masala, then pay attention to the list of ingredients. It will have more things in it, like clove, pepper, cardamom, and all those things. You can add just a teaspoon of that powder in the curry now, like in the curry paste that you have made, to get some more flavor, some more aroma, but it is not necessary. And this is one of the mistakes that people often do. They make this paste, they fry the onion, tomato, and then they take this whole lot of garam masala or the curry powder and they put it, and they say like it was overwhelming, that they cannot eat it every day. This curry paste that I'm making, you can actually eat it every day because it has the most basic spices that is not going to bring you any harm. Curry powder and garam masala, they have a lot of strong spices in them, and this kills the flavor of the vegetables. So if you're going to add it, remember you need to add just a little bit of it. Now cook it for just about a minute and add.
That's another good point he brings up. If you're gonna add store-bought garam masala or curry powder, be careful, because he's got a neutral curry base, and when you throw that in there, you could overpower it, and you could also lead it away from different things. And what I mean by that is, right now we can use this as a base for a vegetarian dish. We can use this as a base for a chicken dish. We can use this as a base for a goat dish, or lamb, or whatever. But if you start adding too much stuff now, all of a sudden, if you add the stuff to make it taste good with chicken, it might not taste good on fish. So keeping it with that basic neutral curry profile allows you to then customize it and tailor it to many different forms of protein down the line. This is really good advice.
If needed, so that you can mix it more uniformly. Add the tomato puree now, and once again mix everything nicely. And one very important thing that I would like to say here is that if you're going to use tomato puree that you bought it at the store, then it will be thicker, so reduce the quantity by half. And if you're going to use tomato paste or passata, then just use 2 tablespoons of it and not more. So the mix is ready, but you need to cook it for 5 more minutes, and the paste in the pan needs to start thickening and drying out a little bit, so that the raw aroma of tomato, onion, garlic and ginger kind of mellows down. You will notice that at the edges some amount of oil is separating out. It's ready now, so we'll take it off the flame and let it cool for some time before we...
Okay, so he's done now. He's gonna do something with it after this. Remember, I already watched this. But he's done now. And when I see it in that glass ramekin, it looks a lot like a sun-dried tomato pesto. And I am mad, and that's kind of the way in which he's going to use it. He puts it in a pan and adds it to other stuff. So at this point, I would be comfortable using this. I like how it's a nice, easy paste. I'm assuming the recipe is scalable. I like how he said it freezes well. He gave it to me in clear, easy to understand directions. I love the way he presented. I could cut this off right now and say, we're done watching this video. But he's going to make a dish with it. And that, I think, is part of the whole masterclass experience, because along the way, he's going to show us elevations.
If you notice, I've not added any salt here. I think it is better to add it when you're actually using it in a recipe. Now that the curry paste is ready, what do you do with it? The use depends on what you're cooking. To help you with some ideas, you can add some cauliflower florets, green peas, potato, and some water, and cook it together. Of course, don't serve it raw, just like that. Cook it together until all the vegetables are cooked and you have a nice, thick and very rich and flavorful gravy. And some other inspirations can be that you can add paneer or tofu, or even just peas if you have that, the frozen ones, or frozen vegetables or steamed vegetables, and make it something really flavorful, interesting and tasty that you can actually take it with you in your lunchbox every day and make your colleagues feel really jealous. I often use...
Right, so those are all some good tips, because obviously this curry paste isn't just a dish on its own. It's something that you're going to use to cook with other things. And right there, he just gave us a quick, simple recipe.
Cook red kidney beans or chickpea and chicken or lamb. One basic recipe, and this can be starting point for everything else. And now let me show you how I'm going to make a classic chickpea curry with this curry paste. You need cooked chickpeas for this. We are not going to cook the raw chickpea in this curry paste. That doesn't work like that. You need to soak the chickpea, then boil it or cook it, and then it's ready. And if you cannot do that, you don't have time for that, you can even buy good canned chickpeas. And while I'm using it, I'm also going to show you how I'm going to make a small variation in this curry paste. And believe me, it will taste just amazing, and you will also learn something new here. Now this part is completely optional. You don't have to do this. You can just cook the cooked chickpeas in this curry paste and you are done. That will taste just as great. But remember, I told you, you also need to learn some variations so that you can make interesting things every day. So I'm going to add some extra spices. Bay leaf, the Indian bay leaf, not the laurel bay leaf, then an inch of cinnamon, 4 to 5 green cardamom, and 5 cloves. I'm going to heat some oil in a pan and
see, just like what I was talking about earlier, his curry paste is a stepping off point. Now these additional spices complement the chickpea dinner. They might not complement a fish dinner. So that's why you're waiting till now to put them in. And that's really smart.
These spices into it. The heat has to be on medium. Remember, not too low and not too hot. And in roughly a minute or two, you will start noticing a nice rich aroma which is filling the air. And that's when you will add the curry paste that you just made. I'm adding roughly 4 to 5 tablespoons of it. The curry paste is already cooked, so you don't have to cook for too much. You will not waste a lot of time. Now add the cooked chickpea. Add more water if you like your curry to be thinner or more like a soup, but I would not actually recommend that. You will lose all the flavor in it. Cook it for a further 5 minutes, and when you hear this boiling sound, your chickpea curry is ready. Simple, isn't it?
See, that's a nice convenience. You've got the already cooked chickpeas, you've got the already cooked curry paste, you're hungry, you don't have a lot of time. You can get, like he even admits, it's fine if you're short on time, use canned chickpeas. So you can get your chickpeas out of the can, put them in the pan, put the curry paste in there, and in a matter of 5-6 minutes, you've got a very fast lunch. That's what I like sometimes, just nice, quick, easy.
How you can do the variation when you have done cooking the chickpea, and towards the end how you can vary the taste. So here are some dried fenugreek leaves. It has this nice umami flavor, some bitterness to it. So I'm going to add it to the chickpea. You can also add some other fresh herbs, like you have parsley, you have coriander leaves. You can even add that and you will get a completely different flavor. And on any other day when you're cooking something else, you can add some cashew cream or you can add yogurt and alter the taste of this gravy. For those who like to cook chicken in this curry paste, then don't add a lot of water and then boil the meat or chicken with it. So when you make chicken, you need to heat the oil and you will need a lot more oil. Then you add the curry paste. This curry paste is already cooked, and then add the chicken. The chicken can be marinated or not if you don't have much time for it. And then you need to keep cooking without adding a lot of water. In fact, add no water at all. You need to keep cooking until it is cooked. And in between, you need to keep covering the pot with a lid. This is a very important thing. When you cook your chicken this way, your chicken, believe me, will turn out to be more flavorful. Like I said before, this paste.
That seems like so I'm trying to think about what he's talking about with the chicken. So I'm picturing chicken pieces. And so he's got the pan, oil, chicken is in, curry paste is in. You're stirring so the paste doesn't stick and burn. Obviously, he's saying I wouldn't put any water in it. You're not trying to boil the chicken. Boiled chicken, no bueno. We don't really like boiled chicken around here. So I get what he's saying. I'd have to try it to totally get, because he's talking about cover and uncover when you're stirring. I'd have to try it just to see what he's talking about for it to, because like I'm thinking backwards to like a chicken cacciatore where we would sear all of our chicken, reserve it, deglaze, do our vegetables, add the chicken back, add the deglaze liquid back, the fond, throw our tomato in there, and then bake it in the oven. Obviously, tomato would be curry in this example. It would be baked, but since you already have that pre-sear of the chicken, you've got Maillard browning, you're developing flavor. It's not what he said at all, because he's talking about doing it in a pan. So I'm going to assume he's talking about like chicken, like cut up chicken, not like whole pieces of chicken, obviously. Anyways, I'm kind of running off on a tangent I don't need to be going on. Let's see what he has to finish saying.
Flavor for busy people who want to eat home cooked food, healthy food every day but lack the time and inspiration to get into the kitchen. Take the cooked lentil or beans or frozen vegetables if you are short on time, and then just add it to your paste, cook it together. If you have a microwave, you can even do it there, and you're done. If you want more such simple recipes and a lot of inspiration, then please make sure you visit our website happybellyfish.com. You will find the link to our website in the description of this video below.
All right, so there you had it. It was a really good masterclass style video where he brought us from the beginning to the ending, and the journey along the way had answers, things you should do, things you do and shouldn't do, like things you have bad habits to get rid of. It really brought us through and gives me a bit more. I'm not going to say it really answered a lot of questions, but it did open up another avenue where I could sit down one day, make a batch of this, and then start exploring it in my day-to-day cooking more. That's something that it's kind of propositioned me with, if you will. I really enjoyed watching this. This was my first Happy Bellyfish video. It's definitely not going to be my last one. Really enjoyed this. So if you've got any comments that you want to leave me, you make sure you put them down below. Otherwise, for this week, I've been Chef James, you've been you, and we'll see you next week.